to Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the network here on a Tuesday evening. Normally, we have our local hour starting at 8 o'clock. Tonight was a little bit different. We flip-flopped them on you because of the first round of college football playoff rankings coming out. Okay, if you want our reactions on those initial rankings, head over to the channel. Okay, they were the previous hour, 8 to 9, all right? Georgia obviously comes in at number 2, but we've got all kinds of other things to talk about because we are a day late on these TTD episodes and TTD opinions. So you're going to get a little bit of thoughts from Florida. You're going to get a little bit of a preview into Mizzou. It's a great time and a great day to be here on the network. But I want to start today's show with a little something I call nitpicking. And sometimes when you nitpick, you are correct in doing so, but it doesn't mean you necessarily need to, right? Like, for example, are any of you guys married? I am. Every once in a while, my wife will remind me to do something that I'm already in the midst of doing, right? She's not nitpicking. She's just being herself. She's just saying, hey, don't forget to take out the trash. Honey, I was literally opening the door to do so. Like, we were going to do it. Don't worry. Nitpicking sometimes, even though you know you are right, sometimes you just need to bite your tongue, not need to do it, right? And here's what I mean by this. Carson Beck has been borderline perfect at the quarterback position this year. Statistically, he is on pace to have the greatest season ever in the history of Georgia football. The highest completion percentage ever for a season is 68.28% by Stetson Bennett last year. Okay? Beck is currently completing 73% of his passes. He is on pace to break the yards record. He has entered the discussion and the conversation for not only first-round evaluations, potential first-round draft pick, maybe this year, definitely next year, but he's entered the conversation, okay, for the Heisman, something we're going to talk about tonight as well. Okay, and still, despite that fact, right, despite the fact that he's thrown for 2,100 yards or 2,200 yards or whatever it is through 9 games, despite the fact that he's top 5 in the country in yards per, yards thrown, despite the fact that he's in the top 3 or 4 in completion percentage, despite the fact that he is having the best season that a Georgia quarterback has ever had to date, okay, to this point, there are still some areas to nitpick, and you are doing exactly that. Okay, you may be right in doing so, but you're doing exactly that when you say things like, Carson's played great, but he sure needs to hit those deep receivers. Carson's played great, but he sure needs to hit his deep balls, right? You are 100% accurate. You are 100% right when you say, hey, there's room for improvement. This guy has not been perfect. This guy's not been 55%, 65%, 75% on the explosive deep balls. Okay, you are right. But you are definitely nitpicking, all right? And you're not necessarily being annoying, but you're asking your husband to take the trash out when he's already in the midst of doing it, okay? The guy's playing great. He could improve. Bite your tongue. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you just sound like you're being a little bit ungrateful for somebody who is, again, playing the position better than anybody's played it under your current head coach, and you have 2 consecutive national titles. Boys, welcome into tonight's show. How we doing?
Doing fantastic. I think we kind of went through this stage a little bit the first year that Stetson was like the starter for most of the year in 2021 when he was playing throughout the regular season. Like, while there were some criticisms of, he's not protecting the football well enough, got to make better decisions, there was also some criticism of he's got to hit these deep shots more consistently and his deep ball has to be better.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby mentioned it after the 2020 Florida game when basically, he didn't get sat, but he basically got sat. He got hurt, shoulder got hurt, but it was one of the worst starts for him in that season. They obviously lose that game. But I remember in postgame, Kirby talking about hitting your layups, right? When we got guys running a wide open down the middle of the field, you got to hit your layups. But one thing I pointed out early in this season, I think this is where he got this bad rap, right? Where, Carson's not hitting his deep balls. I think one throw that people point out to is the overthrow against Auburn. All right, Oscar Delp running down the seam. We pointed it out on film study. There were 7 steps. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps from when the ball was in the air and Oscar Delp had his eyes on it and there was no adjustment, okay? So, yeah, ball was thrown inside, ball was a little bit high, zero adjustment for the tight end. Guess who made an incredible adjustment this past weekend? Oscar Delp. Okay, so that part of improvement has obviously shown. We've talked about the Arian Smith drops. If Arian Smith catches the 3 balls that he should have caught by this point in the season, first of all, Georgia is a far different football team. Their rotation looks different. Arian Smith, every week, I'm not getting asked whether or not he's healthy. He's probably playing. But in reality, he dropped 3 very, very crucial, not crucial in the sense that, the matter of the wins and loss, but crucial in this discussion. These 3 balls get caught from Arian Smith, different discussion. Ra Thomas gets hit earlier in the season, different discussion. Okay, Jackson Meeks, he missed him earlier in the year. All right, people want to talk about that one. Jackson's talked about how he probably didn't run that route 100% correct. Kirby Smart's talked about how he hadn't run that route completely 100% correct. You're nitpicking. You're right, but you're nitpicking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you just look, Carson Beck, weirdly enough, this is kind of a weird stat. He's leading the country in third quarter passing yards. So when he's coming out of the halftime, he's absolutely dialed in. All around, he's been dialed in. He's one of the best quarterbacks on third down. He's just been one of the best quarterbacks in the country in general.
I mean, why don't we just create a super quarterback? That'd be cool. Why don't we just make the best guy ever? Make him give him Mike Vick's legs and be the processor that he is. Oh, and give him Pat Mahomes' creatability and give him Peyton's mind, which I think he kind of not already has, but, I mean, he's pretty well advanced in football knowledge. Mm-hmm. By the way, that's always been my comp for him. I think if you he is what people tell me Arch Manning's going to be. That's what Carson Beck is.
I like that, too.
There you go. He is what Arch Manning is supposed to be. Because if you were to take Peyton or Eli and you were to make them play today's game, as a 16, 17-year-old, they would have to play it with a lot more athleticism. They would not be able to be pocket passers. They would not be able to just live inside that pocket. They would have to show some type of athleticism. They'd have to be a B-, B+ athlete. That's exactly what Carson is at 6'4". By the way, he's bigger than Arch, too. So there you go. That's my take. Put it on the wall.
It does feel kind of disrespectful. I know what you're saying, Peyton Manning obviously coming out of college. It does feel kind of disrespectful to say Peyton Manning. Because, the Peyton Manning a lot of people grew up is, the slow, sluggish, the late 2010s, where it's he was a statue.
No, but I'm
Carson
saying,
Beck is not that.
But have you seen? Peyton Manning's work ethic
for sure.
And what I'm telling you is, if Peyton Manning played today, if he were 6 years old today, he would have grown up knowing that this position requires athleticism. He would have become a better athlete. He would have become a serviceable athlete, no different than I think Michael Jordan would have become a three-point shooter, or Larry Bird would have been a three-point shooter. If we made these people do these things, they would have evolved into those things.
I agree with that.
Essentially. And you know how I know this? The next generation ultimately became it, right? Arch Manning ultimately become what I'm talking about, which is an elite processor, elite thrower of the football, extremely accurate, not an A+, my God, one of one arm thrower or arm talent guy, but, has enough athleticism to win. Mm-hmm. I think that's what you're going to see a lot from Arch, and that's what we've seen from Carson. And that's why Carson is a first-round draft pick to me, and it was hard to project those things onto Arch because – we have to have proof of concept. I've got to know that you got to go out there and be able to get by with B+ traits and an A- arm, or B+ traits and a 95 arm and not that 99 arm like a Caleb Williams has. Or you know who has an A- arm? And this is going to sound crazy. Drake May doesn't have one of these rippers. Yeah. Drake May plays with a lot of anticipation. Drake May plays with a lot of finesse and a lot of touch at 6'6". He looks like Justin Herbert, and he plays the game a lot more like, I don't know the comp right now. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's not like Justin Herbert wow throws all over the field. He just looks like that athletically and plays with a lot of finesse. So there's that. Where were we even at? I don't even know where we at. We got way tossed off.
Carson Beck.
Oh, the nitpicking. Mm-hmm. Welcome into tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. It's been cooking for a couple of days now. All right, we're going to give you our film observations. We got, give them 3. A little bit later, we're going to talk about how Carson Beck has entered his name into the Heisman discussion tonight. We're going to give you a concept of the day. Been a while since we've been up on the board. Psych! It's been 24 hours. We had film study yesterday. That's a lie. What we learned about life without Brock Bowers this weekend, and we're going to give you an intro to Missouri. I want to take a quick second, however, to give some love to those who love on us. I want to ask you right now, run over to prizepicks.com, use promo code Brooks. You'll get a 100% deposit match over there with our friends on PrizePicks. A bunch of good games coming up this weekend and a bunch of winnable props over there on prizepicks.com using promo code Brooks with a 100% deposit match. Also want to give a quick shout out to the folks over at the Athletic Collection. If you see any of the posters around this studio today and you're like, that looks pretty good, you can head over to the Athletic Collection today and you can purchase some of these. These are an NIL play for the players that you see on these posters as well. So a portion of the revenues will go to these Georgia football players. The link in the description of this YouTube video for those. Boys, did I even welcome you in? I don't know. The hours get all tossed around. We did.
You did. Thank you for the courtesy.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm glad. I'm glad to be here on tonight's show. I'm not necessarily losing energy, but I definitely need to take a swig of water. So whatever you want to talk about, go ahead. Free show. Hey, we'll pretend for the next 90 seconds that Brooks actually
90 seconds.
No, we're just playing around. 90 seconds. Okay. I showed up late after hot off the pressers. I didn't get here today. What would y'all even talk about?
So I would just kind of piggyback off of this nitpicking thing where is there ever going to be a player or a quarterback that is, while they are currently playing at the University of Georgia, that you think it's going to be the fans finally go, oh, my God, we love this guy? I feel like every time they're playing, Carson Beck got nitpicked. Stetson Bennett, we know, got dragged through it. Even back when Aaron Murray and Jake Fromm were playing.
Got booed off the field.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, it seems like the Georgia fan base is never satisfied with the person they have until they're gone.
You know, maybe this is maybe my theory about it. I think maybe Georgia fans have just kind of adapted the personality that Kirby Smart has, because Kirby Smart is one of these guys that necessarily never satisfied, always kind of nitpicking. Like, as soon as you ask Kirby Smart, hey, what'd you think about Carson Beck today? He played phenomenal. He threw for 375 yards and 6 touchdowns. What'd you think? Well, he could have been better in this area. He could have thrown this one ball better. And I think Georgia fans have kind of adapted this. I think you see it in other areas.
We just outgained Vandy by 250 yards. Yeah, but you only beat him by 17.
Exactly, that type of thing. And so I think that's maybe part of the reason why. I don't know that we'll ever get the perfect quarterback of what is going on, or like everybody's on board of like, yes, he's the perfect guy. He can't do anything wrong. I think this is just kind of Georgia fans' identity at the moment.
I think that's kind of what they've always been, though. And I mean, and granted, guys like Aaron
I don't know,
Murray,
man. I wasn't around the fan base, but I felt like David Green was pretty beloved.
Yeah.
I felt like David Green couldn't do anything wrong. I wasn't around, so I don't know. So some of the old heads in the chat, let me know if David Green ever got fired up.
Well, people were also goes all the way back. David Green was when they were like, we need to start Shockley.
That's true.
Maybe
Shockley's the only truly beloved one.
I think so.
People do love some Shockley.
They love Shockley. I love Shockley too. He's great to us.
Yeah,
every
absolutely.
time I see him, he does.
Shock's awesome. I love him.
Yeah.
But I think that's you're right. I think Shockley's the one guy where the entire fan base, the entire season was like, this is our guy. He's perfect. He's exactly he's the guy they waited on for 3 years, essentially. So then, yeah, that kind of answers the question.
All right, so it finally happened in the chat. It didn't take long. Is the buffalo on the wall new? So he's talking about my buffalo right here. I got to thinking about this today, and I said it in the Discord chat, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. Shouts out. I think the buffalo is my spirit animal, boys. And put me on 3 here, because I want to give and zoom me in here on the buffalo, because I really want to break it down. Okay, I really want to talk about this, because I think this is my guy. This is my spirit animal. I resonate with the buffalo, and here's why. If you see my man's right here, my man's like proportionately carries, I would say, about 65% of his weight in this area, right? Basically from his shoulders down to his kneecaps. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you've ever seen me in person, that's about it. I mean, I'm about 90% from knee to shoulder, okay? Real thick in the midsection. I ain't got much else on this body, okay? I walk around this earth at about 250 pounds, and I'd say 220 of it's right here in this here torso. Now, back to my buffalo over here. Look at my buffalo here. You notice he's got a nice little set of hair on him. Okay, nice set of hair on him. He's got some flow. He's got some lettuce. All right, now the only thing that I don't necessarily resonate with the buffalo is this little beard that he's got here. But let's just imagine it to be a chin neck instead. I definitely got one of those rocking with me. You know what I mean? It's always there. It's going to be there the rest of my life. I've lost 55 pounds in my life. Still got the chin neck. He going to run around with that the rest of his life. Now, here's where it really sold me home that the buffalo is indeed my spirit animal. Have you ever noticed that the buffalo don't ever kind of like tiptoe into a room or tiptoe into a situation or say, hey, fellas, I'm here? Nah. The Buffalo come a running. The Buffalo come up in that bitch 110 miles an hour. All right, the Buffalo is Brooks Austin. All right, so this is the ultimate conclusion that I came to, I would say within the last, 48 hours, that I am indeed a Buffalo.
That's awesome.
Great comp of yourself. I like that. You really broke that down.
I got a hoops comp. You want it?
Hoops comp.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Big Baby Davis. I'm Big Baby Davis. Round, like someone say, round mound to rebound. Extremely fat, extremely streaky on the court. I'm not extremely fat, but disproportionately. You put me out on a basketball field, you're like, dang, he's a little rotund. Same thing for Big Baby. Big Baby, also one of these guys, a little bit out of his framework in terms of thinking he's a little better than he is. And when it comes to hoops, that's certainly me. So, yeah. Figure out your spirit animal. All right? Figure out your spirit animal today. I don't know if it'll help you in life, but it might do something for you. Should we talk about film observations?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, outside of Carson, we talked about him during the film study. Outside of Carson Beck, Smile Mondon continues to develop as an NFL starter. And I talked about it on our All-22 film study this morning over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. It only costs you $5 to watch all the All-22 that you could possibly want in terms of analysis over there with those guys, or with us, I should say. But anyways, I said it this morning, and I'll say it again here on the channel. I no longer look at Smile on tape and say, damn, look at the athletic maneuver that he did to make that play. And it's not that he's lost athleticism. In fact, he's gotten bigger, faster, stronger. That's undoubtable when you watch him on film. But now, when Smile makes plays, prime example, 4th and inches this past weekend, it's because he's in the right spot, and he's doing the right thing, and he's making the right read, and he's on time, and he's playing with good technique, right? He's doing all of the things that were going to be required for him to eventually be like a top 40 evaluation, because physically, he is that. Physically, I'm not going to say if Quay Walker is 100 grade scale, he's a 99. You know what I mean? I don't think he's quite Quay because he's not 6'4". Quay Walker, biggest, fastest human that was on that 2021 roster. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And that includes Jordan Davis. I know that's crazy. But biggest, fastest, stronger, does the freakiest shit on the field. Quay Walker was that. Smile Mondon is that. But now, over and over again on tape, I'm seeing, damn, Smile, amazing read, great play. You're in the right spot. How'd you see that, right? Not how'd you do that anymore, which we still ask every once in a while. SVP every single week since about week 2 has just been playing phenomenal football. He is balling out. Dealt with some twists and some stunts from Florida. They moved a bunch as a football team on Saturday. What you giggling about?
I inadvertently started a war in the chat over quarterbacks.
Oh, it'd be like that.
Yeah.
Are they JFing?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
JF versus JF?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big JF guy. Who you like?
JF was so much better than JF.
I thought JF's ability to do the other things that the other JF probably couldn't do might have, but one JF probably put the ball at risk a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Coach chose a JF.
I think the real topic is JE.
Ooh, don't get me started. But no. Anyways, chat's going crazy, so that's out. That checks out. SVP playing great football. Dejon Edwards did exactly what we thought he would, just didn't get the touches that I thought he would. He gets 3 more touches, he hits 150, I swear. I mean, I saw if he gets 3 more touches in that third quarter, when he's like really ripping, he hits that 150. I think he ends up with 98 in this football game, 16 for 98, something like that.
I had a Mandela effect today with Dejon Edwards. He used to wear number 33.
His freshman year, maybe.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I was going through photos for articles, and I was like, wait a minute, he's number 33 here. But off topic, no, he definitely did. He definitely had it in him.
Do you know what number he wore in high school?
What?
No.
Why you say it like that? Like, why would I know that? I know that.
Why would I know that?
Because you advanced scout. He wore number 3 for Colquitt County. Anyways, Dejon, everyone, it's funny. It's funny to listen to everyone get asked about his running style. Hey, what do you think about his running style? What do you think about his running style? What makes it so unique? And I thought SVP actually said it best this week. He said his running style fits his skill set. Okay? And that is, it is perfection. And here's what he means by that, right? Dejon is quicker than fast. Dejon's ability to start and stop is far more important than his top end speed. So if that's going to be the case, right? Also, smaller, more agile than he is big, physical, imposing, right? Not going to run around, not going to run through you, going to run around you kind of deal. So if those are our skill sets, we're quicker than we are fast. We can start and stop really well. And, oh, by the way, we got to make guys miss. That's our way to actually take care of the +1 defender. Well, you're seeing a running style that is exactly the nature of what I would design, essentially, for a football player with the skill sets of Daijun Edwards that continues to pop on tape. Again, he did exactly what we thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to attack the guy that wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing every single time. One of his biggest runs on Saturday was actually from Florida's defensive tackle, failing and busting on a stunt, a run stunt. He went out. The defensive end was supposed to come back in. Defensive end never came back in. Daijun Edwards noticed it, stuck his foot in the ground, hit backside B-gap, 18-yard gain. Like immediately like that. And that's what this guy does consistently week in and week out. Ladd's run after the catch was always something that I knew was going to translate. It's impossible not to think it. If you did your research on Ladd McConkey coming out of high school, you knew why they took this guy. Okay, they took this guy because he was laser 4.38 at Louisville, okay, at 165 pounds, soaking wet. Very, very skinny, very rail thin, but he had something that nobody else really has, or a rare combination of something that I'm not saying he's Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill is the ultimate of this. He's quick and fast. Ladd McConkey can line up in a 40 and run sub 4.4, and he can go over there in the shuttle and run sub 4 seconds. That's what this human being is. He's quick and he's fast. And all that I didn't know, or what I didn't know about him, I should say, is that he was going to develop into a route runner. Like, for real. For real. You're going to take somebody that's 4.38, and if you watched him at North Murray High School, I got 90 seconds of it to this day. I might tweet it out after tonight's show. I went and watched Ladd McConkey work out at North Murray High School 6 months before he enrolled at the University of Georgia. And very rarely, because I think very highly of your coaching staff at the University of Georgia, and I think very highly of Ladd McConkey, but very rarely do I leave the field, okay, having watched the Georgia commit and think, wonder what they saw there. Don't know about that, right? But I'll be honest with you, man-to-man, I did it. Walking away from that, and Ladd would tell you that was one of the worst workouts he's ever had in his life, I would imagine, if I asked him man-to-man, okay? But 165 pounds, soaking wet, 5'11", okay, and was very underdeveloped, let's say, in his route tree coming out of high school. Never would I have thought this was going to be the case. When I turn him on tape now, dude, he is one of the hardest guys on your football team to cover. Impossible to cover. He's way too fast, and now he can start and stop in his routes, not just out in space. Great, you notice, because they used to give him yak plays, right? All the screen plays were him. Now he's got a back issue. So now he's got to do all the explosive plays via his route tree, and he's a dominant route runner. Never would have thought that was going to be the case.
Yeah, Javon Bullard was talking about it on the Players Lounge of having to go up against him in practice every day. And he's like, dude, you cannot cover Ladd McConkey. And I believe Mel Kiper recently said that Ladd McConkey right now would be a second, third round draft pick, in his opinion.
There were second and third round draft picks projections going into the season, and he's only got 14 catches on the year. Yeah. Think about that. He's got 14 catches on the year, 5 of them for 135 this past weekend.
This kind of, I don't want to blow one of my takeaways, but I feel like this is kind of perfect time to do it. I feel like the world kind of forgot about Ladd McConkey. Like, the Brock Bowers injury came up, and everyone was like, they've got Ra Thomas, they've got Oscar Delp, they've got Dominic Lovett, they've got Dylan Bell. Ladd McConkey was kind of an afterthought there. And then this Saturday's game, it kind of like, oh, wait a minute, Ladd McConkey might be one of the best receivers on this team still. That was one of my takeaways from it.
So the chat did it already, and it didn't take long. Reminds me of Julian Edelman. Here's what I'm going to do. He's Victor Cruz. That's who he is. Y'all remember Victor Cruz?
Mm-hmm.
Salsa. Victor Cruz also, I think, for like 3 years in the NFL, led the NFL in explosives. Okay?
Yeah,
just getting on top of folks with Eli Manning as his quarterback. Think about that. Eli Manning's noodle arm he was getting on top of folks. I think he's more Victor Cruz than he is Julian Edelman. And here's why. Julian Edelman, guys, wasn't this like physical freak. Julian Edelman is a former quarterback that played wide receiver, that played it smarter than anybody else, way smarter than anybody else, okay? But in reality, 4.55 runner, 4.52 runner, Okay, go look at his career highlights. Very rarely will you see an 80-yard ripper in that. Also, very rarely will you see double moves in that. What you will see a lot of in Julian Edelman tape is, he's got 5,000 option routes today, and he's reading coverage, and him and Brady are on the same page, and he's great. And he had a tremendous career, but even Julian Edelman will tell you, this kid's far more physically gifted than Julian was. Again, guys, think about this, and you can track it. It does not happen. He is going to go to the combine. This is a bold prediction right here today in October 31st. He will go to the combine. He will run at, near, or sub 4.4. So 4.40 or below, okay? And he will run sub or at 4.00 seconds in the 5.10.5. Think about that. And if you're not a scout, it might not be impressive to you. But he starts in the middle. He runs 5 yards, he runs 10 yards, and he runs 5 yards. He runs a total of 40 yards, okay, within a 10-yard box, and he does so in under 4 seconds. It doesn't make sense, all right? There are very few people on the earth that can do this, one of which, believe it or not, was Dominic Blaylock coming out of high school. Dominic Blaylock was a 3.99 guy in the 5.10.5 coming out of high school, and then 2 knee injuries, so. Yeah, it very, very rarely happens. Most of these, like, real twitchy dudes that can change direction like this, most of them end up in the slot in college or in pro ball. I think one thing, again, that I never could have imagined, and we see it on tape now, not only is he a great route runner, the dude's playing Z. The dude's playing Z receiver at 5'11" in the SEC. Like, guys, the only Z receiver I can think of that looks like Glad physically is Devontae Smith. That's it. Yeah. Everybody else this size gets bumped into the slot, period. Steve Smith, the only other one, okay?
Steve Smith seemed a little thicker, though.
About 205 pounds, built like a running back. So, yeah, you're built like Eugene Wilson, a lot like Eugene Wilson. Also, speed. That is the prioritization at the edge position, okay? And here's what I think they're starting to realize, okay? I better either have a Marvin Jones, 6'6", 265-pound avatar. I better have him or Mykel Williams, or I better have somebody that can get to the quarterback right now via a speed rush, okay? Because there's only 2 ways to really impact the passer nowadays for Georgia. I don't know how it is for other football programs because I don't watch them that closely. But I know for a fact teams do not try to play drop-back game against Georgia. All of them get the ball out of their hands in under 2.2 seconds. So what is the quickest way to the quarterback? A straight line. What is the only way to get a straight line in a speed rush? Speed rush. That's it. It's the only way to run straight to the quarterback. I better be able fast enough to run around the tackle. It's the only way to beat them clean. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys that can beat tackles clean. Speed rushers can do that better than anybody in the sport right now, okay? Jalen Walker was a prime example of that this weekend. You know who else was? Damon Wilson. Damon Wilson's speed rush was obvious and evident. Got a holding call and a half sack, okay, on the same play. So you get held, and you get a half sack. That's pretty impressive for a freshman. But it's very, very evident to me. And the other body type, right, is to get your hands up. We want to impact the passing lanes, and another way to do that is to have really big, tall, long dudes out there on the edge. There's that. Truss had one of his best games in a minute, and here's what I'm gonna say: it wasn't like super flashy. But you guys have watched film with us this year. Y'all know that when Truss loses, he's been losing ugly, like really, really ugly. And he didn't do that this past weekend. I didn't turn on the tape at all and rewind and be like, damn, 73's on his face. And if you're playing upright, you're winning, and you're playing really, really well at the offensive line position. Can't believe it. But the special teams finally made the show. Special teams finally made the show.
I told you to give that bold take.
They finally made the notes, and it damn sure wasn't for a place kicker, okay? It was for, of course, athletes, football players on punt team going and making a block.
Why are you looking at me when you say that? Like,
I don't know.
Like I said, like I only.
I don't know. You were just the guy on this stage that kept giving me shit about my special teams takes. So
yeah, I'm saying special teams is an important part of the game.
I don't know how I took me being wrong into me being right here.
Yeah, you're looking at me like you're
looking
dunking on me, like bro.
Right, like, what's up, dog? Special teams showed up. I told you they were shit. No, but I think I am right in the sense that it was like a bunch of 5 stars and a PWO out there.
Yeah.
Right, not a bunch of 5 stars. Marcus Jack Saint was a 4-star, but you get what I'm saying.
Right, no, a bunch of athletes.
Yeah, but no, the special teams finally made the show. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, special teams is a very important aspect of the game. Like obviously Georgia had that game pretty much in hand, but when that block punt came, you kind of said, "Oh, they're just gonna bust this open now."
Oh, they were pouring it on at that point.
Yeah,
absolutely. A couple other things that stood out. Monroe Freeling was still the first one up when they needed an additional tackle. I don't know if he went in because Truss was hurt or if he just went in because he went in. But Monroe Freeling got a snap or two on Saturday from what I saw as well. I'm trying to decide if I should talk about that.
I don't know what that is.
We don't throw kids to the portal, so we're not going to. But here's the deal: there was a fifth, sixth, seventh offensive lineman, a swing player that got bypassed by Monroe Freeling starting at left tackle, and I think everybody knows who it is. When that happens nowadays, guys like, I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? But look it up on the depth chart. You'll notice what it is pretty quickly. But if I were that kid, I'd probably be pretty hot. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Anyways, let's move on. By the way, I think Stacy made the right decision. You play the 5-star tackle in Monroe Freeling. So end of that right there. Should we move on to what we learned about life without Bowers?
Let's do it.
Or should we take a quick break from talking and do concept of the day?
It's your call.
Let's transition up a little bit. Let's do concept of the day.
Switch it up. We're going to sit in a chair for a while. I want to get up and move my legs.
There you go.
Also, want to notice how unflattering this thing is. But hey, when it comes to Super Bowls, you can do it. Break it on. Oh! Hey! They didn't hear it. I was muted. They didn't hear it. Woo! We've missed one. I don't have to mark that one, right? Nobody picked it up?
We'll give you some leeway on that one.
Nobody picked it up. All right, today's concept of the day, it's the stopper ball. We've been talking about it on the network since the Vandy game, I believe. It was the first one he threw to Dominic Lovett, or first one he got completed to Dominic Lovett. He threw another one to Ladd McConkey later in that football game. All right, that was incomplete. Linebacker was up underneath. Ladd kind of let it slip through his hands, all right, but it was an obvious stopper ball. Now, what does that mean? All right, early in the season, I told you that I thought this offense was going to potentially have to morph into a Dover team, right? A run-across football team. The reasons being they didn't have a running game earlier in the year, right? They had a running back room that was really, really banged up. Another reason being they had an offensive line that could really, really protect and a quarterback that could ultimately.
Chat's saying they heard it. You got to write it when you get back.
I got to mark it down. Anyways, so I told you they were probably or maybe potentially going to end up being a Dover football team. Let's put the Z in the slot. Actually, let's put the slot in the slot. Let's put the Z out here. Now, here's these runner balls. This week, it was, let's assume Ladd's at the X. Ladd kind of ran this kind of deep over. Ladd kind of ran this dig, rather. Actually, he was in the slot, wasn't he? They motioned Dominic Lovett here, didn't they? And then they ran this dig right here, and then they had the post coming in from Ra Thomas. That was the concept. There we go. Now, here's what I'm talking about. When we're running this dig, all right, against cover 3, and we got this corner trying to run with us this way, and we got this safety turning and flipping his hips, running towards that deep post, and we got these underneath linebackers turning and running towards that dig, right, when the ball is thrown. We got this Mike turning and running towards that dig once the ball is thrown. Well, as a receiver and as a quarterback, my eyes are on the cue. I'm the only one on the field that's going to be looking at the ball, all right, 9 times out of 10, unless, guys are shouldered up towards the quarterback, which in this case they are not, right? They're all running this way across the field. All right, so if I have this route that's working this way, and if I have good enough rapport with my wide receiver, I can throw a stopper. I can, as Ladd say, put that ball on him and stop his momentum right there and turn and run that way. Because the only one looking at the defenders and where and how they are running, okay, is the quarterback. All right, and if he can look at that and kind of stop that wide receiver, it's what we talked about a couple weeks back with communicative ball placement. We want to be able to talk to our wide receivers with where we put the ball on them. If I put it back here, it's not a miss. I'm Carson Beck. I'm completing 74% of my balls. That ball is meant to stop your momentum because there's trouble that way, or better yet, there's grass that way. So a little stopper ball concept of the day.
Make sure you mark it.
Oh, just easy right just brutal right there, man. I'm also going to give a go ahead and slash for our film study F-bomb. that we dropped the other day as well. Let's make sure I got this thing muted. We do. So I went ahead and marked our film study mark there as well. So we're up to 10. There were some suggestions that we donate something when we hit maybe 10 or whatever. I will we'll decide as a show. Do we want to decide right now? What should we do? Maybe a dollar a swear word?
To what?
I don't know. That's the thing. Maybe $2 a swear word?
What do you think's going to help with your problem?
I don't. It's a problem now.
This is actually
I'm a fiend.
This is actually an intervention right now.
It really is. I don't know. We got to figure that out. Let's not be too crazy, too irresponsible with the options. But maybe the chat can help us out here. What should be the show or my punishment for saying the F word when I'm not supposed to say the F word? All right, so we're up to 10 F words since we put the do not use the F word sign up on the show, which, by the way, the F word got banned because of Shane Beamer. And you know what? That's what happens when you're out here giving a feet for free. I come out here and I say the F word a little bit too hard. Yeah, I'm blaming Shane.
Shane's fault.
I'm blaming Shane. You know why? Because we called a play. You know what I mean? We called a play, and all I need, it was the right play. I just needed execution from my players, and they didn't do it. But that starts with me. I love that, by the way. We've been seeing a lot of coaches lately do the it starts with me, and they say it last.
Yeah.
Does it really then?
And it starts with me last. All right, let's do what we learned about life without Bowers this weekend. We'll start with you boys. I feel like I've been talking for 20 minutes.
Obviously, you learned that the offense can continue to thrive and survive. And, I mean, I think that we knew that the offense could continue to survive, but I don't know if we knew for sure that this offense could continue to thrive like they have been with Bowers in the lineup. I think that more than absolutely got answered this weekend, especially considering that your run game continued to be the same. We know that we like to talk about Bowers not only in the receiving game, but what he was able to add in on as a blocker as well and open things up a little bit there. But Ladd McConkey looks to be back to his normal self, and all the other playmakers and the way that Carson Beck distributes the football around the field, I think we know that this offense is going to be okay until 19 is back.
So I don't want to say it like this, but I learned this is going to kind of help the offense in a way.
Interesting.
Because Brock Bowers was a security blanket for you. I mean, obviously, like if you get in a pinch, just give the ball to 19. But to give an analogy on this, I think when you're a boxer and you have a strong right hand that's almost unstoppable, when that right hand's taken, when you go against a fighter that's taken away against and that your biggest weapon is gone, you have to then become a more dynamic fighter. You have to utilize different tools. That's what Georgia's done now, and they get to do that for 4 weeks. And then on top of that, when they have finally become, get this new identity of offense, they're going to have 19 back on top of it. So I think it's going to benefit Georgia in the long run. Obviously, if you had to choose, yes, you would want Brock Bowers on the field. It sucks that he's not going to be there, but I think it is going to help the Georgia offense coming forward.
Somebody said for every 10 swear words, you should have to donate $2 to the team you despise the most. Who do I hate the most? Who am I out here just
right now? It's Michigan.
Yeah, I've been getting after Michigan's ass for a minute.
But I don't think we should donate to Michigan right now. They don't need it.
I don't think they need it. They just need to call up Dell money. You know the CEO of Dell, worth like $5 billion? Michigan grad.
Shut up.
Dang, Siri.
Dang.
There's a laptop over there listening to us, man.
You got the ops listening, bro?
Yo, chill.
I'm afraid too. Hey,
hold
on. Whoa. I don't know if the audience heard all that, but we got bro. The ops is listening.
We're bugged.
Seriously,
we are so bugged right now. It's hardball. It's got to be hardball. I got some notes and some thoughts here about what I learned this past weekend. Robert Thomas and Dominic Lovett are good, but Ladd McConkey is great. Right. If there's an elite guy, it's him. That we saw that this weekend. The yards again. The run after the catch has been really, really impressive. And that was one of those areas, one of those criteria that they needed to have with Brock. What makes Brock so great is when the ball is in his hand, the play has just begun, period. No matter if he catches it at 20 yards down the field or 50 yards down the field or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, the play has just begun. You know what I mean? Like, that is the hardest part about playing him, and some of the things you could see on tape this weekend from Ladd as well. It's very, very hard to get him on the ground. the game is starting to slow down for Lawson Lucky. It's not all the way slowed down. He doesn't look 100% confident yet, but you can tell it's starting to slow down just a little bit for him. And you kind of hit on this one, Jay Will, but I want to talk about it in a little bit. You talked about how the offense is still the offense without Brock, and it's great that they can still score points, and that's good. And we kind of learned that, right? They're still serviceable. They're still one of the nation's best offenses. But in my opinion, what I learned Saturday was that the system, how they go about calling plays, still works if you can't play man coverage. If you're going to sit in zone coverage, this system destroys you. Okay, it's unlike other, it's not a fast-paced system. Okay, fast-paced systems live in duos, they live in trips, they do what they do. All right, and every week in and week out, they might alter some things based off their opponent, but they are not made to design a game plan to attack a singular opponent. This system every single time has winners designed up to beat specific opponents, and they play with a way in which that their offensive coordinator has the time to kind of set these things up, right? We do one thing, okay, we do it, wham. We hit you over here with something that kind of looked like that. I like what Bobo has continued to do for this offense. And you know what's good for Mike? And I know he's at the tail end of his career now. I would imagine he's been coaching 20, 25 years at this point. He's obviously at the tail end of it. What's good for him is I think this kind of solidifies all of the doubts that anybody ever had, even in his previous regime. If you're a Georgia fan now and you're happy with the offense that is currently being ran, I think you should take heed to how critical you were of his previous time that he was here, because it was just as elite, if not statistically more elite, than what they're currently doing. And right now you're extremely happy with your offense.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take long for the Mike Bobo's an idiot to shut up. Those people are almost gone now.
Some bitch did run a draw this weekend, though. Couldn't believe it.
The audacity.
It was wide-ass open, tw. My God. If Carson Beck would have just give him a little hee-yah. It was wide open to the left. It was a great call. Cover zero. Had all that was left in the middle of the field was the mic. Okay, safety ended up coming back over because he noticed it was draw. But nah, man, they had that thing licked. It was a perfect call. So I think we learned a lot this weekend just about who this football team is. And I will tell you this: I can't tell you who it was, what it was, but this team knew that everyone had doubts. Everyone had questions about who they were going to be, what they were going to be, how they were going to be without Brock Bowers. All right, and the rest of the media will attest. They were happy leaving that press box. That coaching staff was. And I think that's one cool thing about my job, and one of the many cool things about our job. You get to feel the raw emotion when they come out of that press box. A, they don't like Florida. B, they knew people were sitting out here going, oh, what's it gonna look like? Everybody, but maybe myself. But even I was like, I just want to kind of see how they get covered more than anything. I want to see what other teams did to them, or what other teams thought that they could do now that he wasn't on the field. And guess what? I didn't see a lot of cover one from Florida, which means they didn't think they could cover you. So they still don't think they can cover you without Brock Bowers. We'll see what Missouri thinks. I think, Enos Rakestraw, pretty good football player, and they got some good corners over there, which brings us to our give me three takeaways and then our intro to Mizzou. Or should we go ahead and intro? No, we got a while on Mizzou. Let's give three takeaways from this game really quickly. I'll start first. Special teams matter when you're awful at them. Okay, if you're awful at special teams, they matter. Florida's awful at special teams. They keep losing monumental swings in football games because of it. Bobo definitely hates Florida, okay? And the Sellies on the TV broadcast definitely gave that away. It's up 40 some odd points. They get a 1-yard rush, and he damn near takes Todd Hartley's shoulder off. And again, they felt doubted. That was an obvious one to me. Give him three.
We saw everything we needed to from Ladd McConkey. I mean, just knowing that, not just because we saw him produce on the football field, but knowing that coming back from injury, we kind of felt maybe after the bye week going into the Florida game, this might be the first time that we get to see a completely, fully healthy Ladd McConkey. I think we saw that on Saturday, and I think we saw a wide receiver that can help this offense stay explosive and remain consistent and on track throughout the football game. Defensive line showed us what we wanted to and have been waiting for this season. They created havoc in the backfield. They got to the quarterback, and it was from multiple guys. It wasn't just a one-man show. There are multiple players creating havoc back there, meeting each other at the quarterback. That's what you love to see from this defensive line in the second half of the season. And Georgia's doing it. They're peaking at the right time. They're playing good football in the second half of the season when they need to with this next slate. And Georgia, that's a good sign what you got from Florida.
Peak me up at the right time, Jay Will. Give it. What do you got there, Curb?
So I already gave one of mine about how we forgot about how elite Lad McConkey
Don't
is.
Forgot about that.
We
boy
forgot
lad.
about him. Sorry for the disrespect. This one I was shocked. I was shocked to see Tyrion Ingram Dawkins play. Like I
Bro,
figured,
Kirby talked a couple weeks ago about shutting him down. We talked about it.
yeah,
off
that's
the
why
hot
I was
pressers.
like, that's why I was like, oh,
You don't use term "shut him down"
No.
unless you shut him down.
right. So when
It's
he got
either going to pop or it's not. Did you hear that quote from TID? He said, "Coach, it's either." He's talking about the ligament in his foot. He's like, "Coach, it's either going to pop or it's not. I have to play.
Yeah.
I need to play football." And of course, Kirby, dude, I had sources that told me that, like, dude, I was up there like Tuesday. TID was not practicing.
yeah.
Dude walked out there fresh off, and got a strip sack.
That's why when I saw it in the stands, I was like,
Nuts.
holy, was that Tyrion Ingram Dawkins?
It was.
So that's one of my biggest takeaways. And then the other one was Billy Napier really messed this game up.
Oh God.
Like that 4th and 1 call. Going forward on 4th and 1 in your own 30.
With a trick play and asking your quarter or your running back to throw the football.
Yeah. What are you doing? Now,
What are you doing?
Obviously, things got out of hand after that. You had a strip sack, and then you blocked punt. But that really started the big momentum swing for Georgia. I mean, it was a close game before that.
Yeah. Also, now, it's hard to blame this on coaching because it's being outcoached. It's not you making an improper decision. It's you being outcoached by your opponent. But again, that's blaming on the coaching. They clearly had a punt block called for when they saw that formation.
Oh, yeah.
It was very obvious. They put it in this week, whenever they put it in, and it was very obvious, hey, Georgia beat them in that moment. And it was a monumental swing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know why. I don't know why of all times that's the time you try to set up coverage, because I would assume that's what Florida was doing. They took out a personal protector and they added in a skill guy, ran him in cheat motion, and then tried to Canadian football motion him up the field. And it's like, dude, the ball's on your own 15. Why are you trying to set up a coverage unit when you need to be caring about the block? Like, we could lose points right now. We could lose basically not the game, but we could really nail our own coffin in right now if we get this thing blocked.
The only way I would justify that would be saying that Mekhi Muse is a pretty dangerous punt returner, and you would be giving Georgia a short field anyway, so you want to try to minimize their field position as much as you can. But, yeah, no.
And if I were sitting in that –
you have to definitely block before you –
If I were sitting in that meeting room, I would say, Coach, he's also put 3 on the ground the last 3 weeks. The guys put the ball on the turf. We should kick it to him. We should cover, but we should kick it to him. We should definitely not get it blocked.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't think you were wrong. All right. You were just outcoached in that moment. And guess what? Whether that moment came at the 50 or whether that moment came at the 35, they were going to get your ass this week if you showed up in that 2 personal protection formation. That was very evident when you watched it on tape. As soon as Cash Jones saw 2 punt protectors, he pointed right at it. They flipped. They got over into a left side block, and they sent that bitch. And they went after it, and they got it. So, again, not necessarily outcoached in that moment, or you were outcoached in that moment. The coaching mistakes were like you were talking about. The 4th and inches makes no sense.
Yeah.
They got away with one on the second drive of Georgia, or first drive for Georgia. Georgia's got the ball inside the 5. Florida, 13 seconds left on the play clock. Florida's defense has no play call called in. Their defensive back standing over there doing like this. Carson Beck snaps the ball down to Hutt, has to throw it out of the back of the end zone because Florida's football team actually got onto their man and covered well enough. So got away with some, but definitely when you play a football team like Georgia, you kind of have to be flawless for 4 quarters.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
What else we got? We got our intro to Mizzou.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go with this. What's the stats say? What do the stats say about Mizzou, Jay Will?
Well, I don't have as many as I did on Twitter, but I got you some really good ones. I think the ones that matter the most of kind of profiling this football team.
Did you just plug your Twitter?
I didn't plug it.
You should. At Dr._J Will.
People loved it this week. I'm not going to lie. They did. They did. But
hey, you've had a good week.
Yeah.
You've had a good week. You put some work in. You grinded it out.
I appreciate it.
And it's only halfway over.
Only
It's
halfway.
Tuesday.
Well, starting off, strap it down and get after it, Georgia fans. Missouri is one of the most penalized teams in the country on the road and just in general. They're averaging seven penalties per game right now. So be loud, show up for your dogs this week. Very similar numbers to Georgia in regard to explosive plays created offensively. Georgia has 48 20-plus yard plays. Missouri has 45. However, Missouri's defense is much more susceptible to allowing explosives. They're 85th in the nation for 20-plus yard plays, 38 total allowed. Missouri isn't great on third down either, and this is always a kicker for teams against Georgia because they're the number one team in the nation on third down. But they're 62nd for third down conversion rate, and part of that is because they are 71st for tackles for loss allowed, averaging nearly 6 per game allowed.
So the one that stood out there was the explosive numbers for their defense.
Yeah, they're allowing quite a few.
And here's the issue with that. Here's what really sticks out to me about that. The only real offense that they've played is LSU. Correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Kansas State is not an explosive offense. They do not do it like this.
No.
Kansas State's a ground and pound. Kansas State going to lean on you for 4 quarters, hope to beat you with defense and special teams and ball control. And they're giving up that's bottom third.
Yeah.
If you're in 85th, that's bottom third. They're bottom third in Power 5 football or in Division I football in explosive rates, having not played any explosive offenses. What do you got? I asked you to tackle the schedule. He stats your schedule.
So, yeah,
what do you got?
Doing a deep dive in the schedule, there's not a lot that impresses you. Now, the one thing I would say could somewhat be alarming to Georgia fans, they're coming off a bye week, and they're coming off a thrashing of South Carolina, so they've kind of had time, more time than you've had to prepare for you. But they're closing out schedule. After they have Georgia, they play Tennessee, they play Florida, they play Arkansas. So it's not like they have a super easy schedule ahead of them. But one of the main things I've noticed is, like, other than LSU, there really isn't a signature win on here where you go, oh, wow, this is actually a really good team. They beat Middle Tennessee 23-19. I think that people forgot about that.
It was a sleepy one, too.
Yeah, that was week 2. They beat South Dakota 35-10, which, that's fine, 25-point victory. Obviously, they had that big win against Kansas State. They beat Memphis 34-27.
At home.
Vanderbilt 38-21, fine, 17-point victory. Obviously had the 10-point loss to LSU. They beat Kentucky 38-21, but remember, they were losing by 2 scores in that game. They had to call a fake punt before they even got back in that game. Ultimately, they took control and won, and then they handled South Carolina. So it's not like this team has been super impressive throughout the slate this year.
When you put it on paper like that, you can kind of understand why Vegas has favored Georgia by 20.5 points in this football game.
Yeah.
It's so much. So many points. They have to win by 21 points to cover on Saturday.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns.
That line will probably come down.
I think it's down to 17.5 now.
Yeah.
We got to put an article out about that, the update to the betting line, just to let you do some little in-house management right here. But no, so you had stats, you had schedule. What's that leave the film guy? The film. So what's the film say about Missouri? First thing I noticed immediately, turn the tape on. I don't see no big goofy white dudes playing tackle no more. They had some center-looking dudes playing tackle last year. They had some dudes that had no other option other than to dive on Jalen Carter's feet. They had no chance last year on the backside against Georgia. This year, I'm telling you, you're gonna watch it Saturday and be like, dang, they got some athletes up there. Now, are they consistently great? No, but there's some moving parts in there, obviously, based off of what I just told you. They look, feel, and just like sound better. They are more sound as an offensive line up there on the front. They do a really good job of designing winners for their playmakers. Okay, they got 3 really, really good receivers. Y'all obviously know about Luther Burden. 5's really, really good. 7's really, really good. They all look the same too. Okay, they're all under 6 foot. They're all really, really fast. They're all great with the ball in their hands after the catch. All right, I saw a play today for number 5, their little Cooper dude. All right, he's all over the place. They had him in the running back position out of 21 personnel, and they just had him skip. They just had him skip horizontally all the way out into the slot. So he's 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he's basically in the slot. And at the snap, all of a sudden he's one-on-one with the safety, and guess what he does? He runs a speed out. That safety's got no chance. He's got no chance to get out there and cover him because he's so damn quick and fast, and he's basically got a skipping head start on the safety. The bottom line, they do a great job of getting their weapons, the ball in their hands. And with Burden in the slot, it's because he's taken over Dominic Lovett's role from last year for Missouri, who, by the way, had over 750 yards, I believe, last year for Missouri in this role. And Luther's off the charts, I think top 3 in the country in receiving yards right now. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is because I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's virtually impossible to truly double team this guy, right? If I have an X receiver out, if I have an X receiver, guys, out here, okay, I can play bracket coverage on him. If I have an X receiver, I can put the corner out there, right? And I can tell the safety, hey, slide coverage over to him all the time. So now this guy's playing outside leverage. He's feeding to his help the entire time. Now, imagine this. Imagine our best player now, okay, is in here in the slot, and we still have to dedicate a corner out here. Sure, we could try to play man coverage, which no one's doing right now. But again, this guy can run away from safety help over here. Okay, he can run to grass. He can run to the sideline. There's still an opportunity for him to beat his guy and run away from the help, all right, when he's in the slot. Oh, also, well, guys, what if we tried to play a little under-over like everybody else does? What if we played, maybe the corner or the nickel up underneath with inside leverage, and we walk the safety over the top? And now we kind of play them top and bottom. Okay, well, think. They're doing everything. Saturday or 2 weeks ago against LSU, or 3 weeks ago against LSU, I saw him just run a straight seamer because they knew he was going to outrun the corner, and they knew Brady Cook was going to throw him inside the safety. Because that's the other thing we ain't even talked about yet. Brady Cook's playing exceptionally well in this offense right now for this football program. Okay, so he's super confident. He's super, comfortable in the system that he's running out there at Missouri. So that's the one thing that stood out as well. They are one of the more creative teams left in this conference. Okay, I don't like what he stands for, but I thought Kendall Briles, what his history stands for, I should say. Kendall Briles had a really, really good run at Arkansas. I thought they did some really, really creative stuff. Hugh Freeze does some good stuff every once in a while. To be honest with you, Brian Kelly's kind of nuts and bolts. He's kind of just standard spread, air raid, not air raid, but air concepts, like modern spread offense, passing concepts, and he's done some unique things with Jaden Daniels. Georgia's a big physical football program that does some unique stuff, but they're not like out here doing the tricks, bells, and whistles. They're going to beat you. Alabama, they're going to beat you. Kentucky, they're going to try to beat you. Tennessee, people will say, ooh, gimmicky offense, tricky offense, does a lot of stuff. No, they kind of throw their fastball. Their fastball is their fastball. It's spread everybody out. We're going to make you run against light boxes. We're going to make you play it against light boxes, and we're going to try to hit you vertically and off the option routes. But their bag is their bag. This is one of the very few teams that you kind of got to prepare for the whole kitchen sink because they can throw it at you.
Yeah, and I was just asked, would you put Ole Miss in that category?
Yeah, because their run game's super hard to prepare for. You're going to spend all week trying to get run fits proper before you even address what's going on with the passing game. So, yeah, I would definitely put them in there. But the film, to me, it doesn't say 21. It doesn't say 21 points. It doesn't say 17 points. Actually, it said about maybe 14, 17 points. But I think this is an offense, one of the few remaining on the schedule, or one of the many remaining on the schedule, rather, that can put up points against this Georgia defense.
Absolutely.
Because, again, apart from the one run from Peyton Thorne, has this defense given up a run game explosive? Like a true run game explosive, like 60-yarder.
No, not 60. They had a big game. Florida had a big game like towards the end of the game, though, when he had the 2s and 3s.
Johnson had one where he tried to run over Kamari Lassiter on Georgia's sideline on the far side. You are correct.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't think it's been like egregious 60-yard runs.
No, most of the explosives, I'd say 8 out of the 10 have come through the air. If there has been 10.
According to the stats, they've only allowed 2 40-plus yard rushes this
year.
So
there you go.
That makes sense. What was it?
Peyton Thorne in this one. Peyton Thorne in that Johnson one we're talking about.
Yeah.
The Johnson one was a 50-yard run, and the Peyton Thorne was 63.
Yeah.
Damn, we are good. We are good at what we do. I mean, that's no notes. That's straight off the dome. It had to be those two. Bang. Hey, appreciate you guys for being here. I'm going to go ahead and give ourselves 3. Give them 3. Because we've had back-to-back record nights. We had a record NBR. We had a record film study. We have another record NBR to start tonight's show, and this is going to break records probably for TTD. I love that you guys are loving this. I love that y'all are supporting this network. Obviously, it's impossible to notice the investments that we've put into the product, okay? I love, it makes my heart leap that you guys are pouring it back into us with your viewership. All right, here's the one thing I want to challenge you guys with, all y'all watching right now. All right, and one thing, a friend of the show, Josh Pace, done a tremendous job of is having his audience base work just as hard to spread the good news about his channel as he does to work to produce the content for his channel. And I'm not asking you to do crazy stuff. I'm not telling you I'm going to send you some gift, okay? All I'm asking is that you tell your friends we got some cool shit going on over here, because I think we do, okay? And the numbers will show that as well. So I appreciate you guys for being here. I love you. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.